Fort Dix to Keesler Field in Mississippi.
You went to Fort Dix first
First, yes.
for boot camp?
No, it was for indoctrination, but it wasn't called boot camp. They usually use every term to refer to Navy
Mm-hmm.
trainees.
What happened at Fort Dix?
Physical exams, my enlistment specified that I was to go into flight training. And so this was all pre-flight background. Actually, I was a pilot at that point anyway. I had, on my own, gotten a private pilot's license.
How old were you when you got that?
Huh?
How old were you when you got that, your pilot's license?
I was 17 when I got my pilot's license.
Oh, wow. And after Fort Dix, where did you go?
Actually, I guess I was younger than that. But Fort Dix, I went to Keesler Field in Mississippi.
And what happened there?
That was basic training,
Basic training?
yes. Which
What did
was
you-
all of the things that people have heard about in basic training.
Yeah. What have we heard? Tell us.
Drilling and education courses. Since I was going to be part of the flight personnel, I was missionary, mission training, navigation, that sort of thing.
Yeah, for flight
For
training.
long, you know, and the aircraft that we would be flying. And as it turns out, it was, I ended up on a B-29 base. I didn't fly. The war finally terminated before I got to do my flying, but
So, what was your duties?
I was in charge of repairable aircraft equipment.
Repairing aircraft equipment?
So planes going off on missions come back and they get repairs done, and my job was to authorize the repairs.
Okay. Can you tell us specifically on a plane, like what would happen when what needed to be fixed?
Oh, the pilot reports to his commander, and the commander recommends seeing the repairable people, and that's mine, and I just assign somebody to a case to see what's wrong and what needs to be done, whether the aircraft is serviceable for the next mission or whatever.
Okay. Now, where did you receive training for that? Back at Fort Dix?
Well, that was all in a whole series of things, including the island of Tinian, Guam also, where I served for a while.
Mm-hmm. So, once you left Mississippi, where did you go?
Madison, Wisconsin, Dothan, Alabama, just a variety of places.
Why so many?
Beg pardon?
Why so many places?
If you figure that one out, you'll get a promotion.
They're just moving you around?
Well, it was even funnier than that. We get a whole new issues of clothing. If you were going to be sent to a cold area, it probably was summer clothing, and if you're going to a warm area, why, it would be, winter clothes. You never quite knew where you were going next. Even though they may have had long-term definition of the places you're going to hit and when, you really didn't know until you got there.
Yeah. When did you make it into the Pacific?
August of 1945.
August of 1945. That was towards the end of the war, right?
Yeah.
You arrived, where did you arrive?
I landed in Guam first, and I spent about a month and a half on Guam. It's sort of an isolated field, but
What happened in Guam?
Well, Guam was another battle that had to be fought to carry out this stone path in the Pacific, starting with the Philippines and moving from there to Bougainville, I guess. I don't remember all the names of little islands that were. And actually, I didn't get into that kind of action. It was an island campaign all through the end of the war and in the Pacific. My brother spent 22 months in combat in the European theater of war. He and I shook hands in Mississippi. That was about all the time we had on a visit.
Was he older?
He was headed from Europe to the South Pacific, and I was headed to the South Pacific. So.
Did you guys meet up?
Yeah, we did for basically a handshake.
Oh, that's awesome. How old was your brother? Was he older?
8 years older.
What branch did he serve in?
He was a forward observer in all of the European campaigns.
He was in the Army?
He was in the Army.
Army. Oh, wow. Did you guys sign up together?
No.
He was before you?
Oh, he was the day after, December 8th, 1941. The war was just beginning. The Philippines had been bombed. Hawaii had missed it. But,
So, have you ever been to the Pacific before you got there?
no,
What did you think of Guam when you first arrived?
beautiful place. Turned into a stop for recreational purposes. The Japanese vacation there in large numbers. A lot of Americans go there, but it is a fair distance from Pacific coast where you'd start from.
How'd you get there, by plane or boat?
Well, on moving into what was then active combat area, got there on a troop carrier boat. It was a merchant marine crew and operation. Later on, the next echelon or next visit took me to other spots in the Marias. Just little days. We spent 30 days on one boat, 30 days on another, and finally ended up in Guam, is what it amounted to.
So it took a while.
Yeah.
What happened in Guam? What were your duties there?
Well, that was the place where all the crew members or potential crew members, all the military personnel going into that theater for action cleared through Guam. It was a very active sort of regional hub for supplies and logistics.
Where did you go from Guam?
I went from there to Tinian, and Tinian's where I spent most of my time. That was 10 months.
What'd you think of Tinian?
Beautiful little gem, but about 1.5 miles wide and 11 miles long. It wasn't much of a spot.
Where is that exactly? It's an island just off the coast.
It's part of the Marianas. There are 4 major islands in the chain. Guam, Saipan, Tinian, and Rota. Rota is used as a bombing, or was at the time used as a bombing target, practice target. Saipan was one of the bloodiest campaigns of the war. There was a National Guard unit in the town that I grew up in. And they were called up before the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. During the course of the war, a 200-man unit suffered 15 casualties on Saipan alone.
Wow. Were you at Saipan?
I missed all the combat.
You showed up after.
Well, yeah, you knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure. In Tinian, what were your duties?
That's where I was in charge of repairables,
Again?
Air Force repairables, yeah.
So, explain the procedure for that.
Plane lands and pilot reports into his commander, and whatever needs to be done is discussed. And if the authorization is given, well, then just processing the paperwork.
How big of problems could you fix?
I could.
How would you? All right, let me rephrase that. How would you know when the plane's total?
You'd know that these aircraft make their own noises.
Mm-hmm.
B-29 is a big airplane. You'd see it if it was missing one engine.
What did it look like, Tinian? It was just an airstrip?
We recently had a tsunami in the Pacific. While I was on Tinian, we had a tsunami that they thought might rise as high as 60 to 70 feet over the height of the island. That would have made everything on the island wet.
Covered the island.
Yeah. But unfortunately for us, the tsunami was not as strong, and it did clean up our bathing beach. It didn't cause any serious damage although if you were out in the Pacific sailing, there were boats that were at risk and some damage. A couple of small freighters sunk. Tsunami can be a pretty potent force.
You only saw one while you were there?
That's the only one I saw, yes.
What was it like there? Where did you sleep?
Plywood barrack.
Plywood barracks?
Yeah.
What was it like? Was it hot?
You knew the seasons had changed when the wind came from a different direction. It was about 101 day in, day out.
Wow.
Dry heat, you could rationalize it if it feels so bad.
From Tinian, where did you go?
To the Philippines,
Back to the Philippines?
yes.
Did you continue to fix planes?
Yeah, I was in charge of saying it wasn't just fixing planes, it was more a matter of fixing anything that was broken. It had to have in order for people to go home who had been fighting in combat, they had to have a certain number of points. The number of points went up for the number of hours, days, whatever they were in combat. So there had to be a channel of control, whether it was ordnance, which was always firearms, or an Air Force unit which was specially trained. Theoretically, we're trained to make those judgments.
So you could fix anything?
Anything that people returning to the States could return only if the equipment that they were going to take back with them could be repaired. Yeah, in a sense. What are you?
Weed whacker.
Yeah.
It's loud. There we go. Okay.
So I could arrange for somebody to fix anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something
I really
broke.
didn't worry about actual combat aircraft, nor did I worry about individuals who had jobs in ordnance or transportation. Everything did have a compartment, but somebody had to be a choke point.
What do you mean choke point?
Point where you stop and take a look and
Figure it out.
figure it out.
During your time, did you ever get R&R?
Yeah, I spent the better part of a month in rest camp in Philippine Islands.
How
Part
was
of it-
that? The R&R.
Well, it was pleasant. We had 2 golf courses, and they had dances for us. Local residents put on a party, and that was.
Did you do anything special there?
No, I don't think anything was. He didn't think of it in terms of being special. We were told we were eligible for R&R, and we just said thank you and send me my instructions.
Yeah, see you later. What was the food like while you were in service?
Well, sometimes very good, sometimes good, sometimes not so good.
What do you mean, elaborate?
I think I said sometimes it was good, sometimes it wasn't. You know, it depended on where you were and what was going on.
As you got closer to the front line, it would change?
Well, weather and location, getting people shifted around. It's like, well, you could have tens of thousands of people deployed all over the Pacific, and they're doing whatever the job is that has to be done. Combat just was a different form of activity than you might like to be in, but it was part of the whole episode of experience.
Did you get to go anywhere else besides the Philippines in your R&R?
No,
Just the Philippines? What year do you think that was?
when I left Tinian, at that time the people, we had been assigned to a point where there were very few people left. In fact, there were 20 people left when I left Tinian. I say 20 people left. They were the remaining troops before the base was finally padlocked and closed.
Around what time do you think this was? This was after August, right?
Yeah,
Was this 1946 yet? No, it was still 45.
it was still 1945. So when they got ready to close the base, we got a phone call and, you know, padlock everything and make your reports and you're leaving. And there weren't any natives. There might have been a handful of natives, but basically we were it. Pretty quiet and lonely island. There were 90,000 people on the island when I arrived, and 20 of us could leave.
Wow. So when you padlocked Tinian, where did you go from there?
To Okinawa for a short period of time, and then was after the nuclear bombs had been dropped. And shortly after that, why, they were shipping us back to California.
What'd you think of the atomic bombs?
Hmm?
What'd you think of the atomic bombs?
I'm missing something on that.
Did you agree with dropping them?
We're getting crossed off. It's Amy, I guess.
Yeah. Hold on, the people.
Ask your question again carefully.
Did you agree with the dropping of the bombs?
Oh, absolutely. We were building a 6,000 bed hospital on Tinian because that was about all they felt the island could support, and yet they anticipated 1 million casualties.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who is in combat would have to say that, you know, life wasn't going to be so great if you didn't drop the bomb. Actually, in non-nuclear bombing, they did as much damage in a 24-hour period with non-nuclear bombing than they did with the 2 nuclear bombs. In other words, when you do a saturation bombing, you've got lots of airplanes. The only difference was one was quicker and
You only needed 1 bomb.
you only needed, well, yeah, actually you had 3, but one of them, unfortunately, the ship that was carrying it was sunk by a Japanese submarine just as the war was ending.
What did you think of your fellow officers?
Oh, I think they were like any other group of civilians you might be called upon to make that kind of an effort for their country. Very little different than the revolutionary armies or Civil War. People do what they have to do when they have to do it.
Mm-hmm. There was a crisis, people needed to answer the call.
Fortunately, good generals have come along when we needed them most.
Do you recall any particularly humorous events? Anything funny?
Well, I'm sure we had lots of laughs, but there were laughs of relief.
Did you ever feel scared while you were over there?
I don't know that I did. We did do some things that teenagers would do, and they were kind of silly. The whole world that we were inheriting was a silly world anyway.
Would you care to share one of those?
I don't remember anything specific. You know, I think there are some more vivid memories of my life before I actually went on active duty. We were a relatively small group who were destined for flight school, and so we got a lot of special time and special treatment.
Did you ever get to fly a plane while you were in the service?
You mean as a pilot?
As a pilot?
No.
Did you want to be a pilot?
Yes.
Why weren't you?
Well, because they were stopped losing planes. The Japanese and the Germans we're still out there, and you wanted to be a part of the operation. You did, but you didn't.
Did you stay in touch with your family while you were in service?
Pretty much.
How so? Letters?
Letters. Sometimes a letter would arrive 3 or 4 months late. Frequently, they were blacked out because they were marked with blackout pen so that you didn't see everything that was there, didn't know where you were. The purpose of that was if you loose lips do sink ships. Really, the worst of the war was something I didn't see. Talking about Saipan, I knew about Saipan because the National Guard unit that had been called to active duty before the war ended. Actually, out of a population of 10,000 people, 200 men in this National Guard unit, 15 of them killed in one battle. You know? 280 some gold stars hanging on the windows of the residents of the town.
280?
280 in the population, out of a population about like Madison or Guilford.
Small.
Yeah.
Did you know anybody that passed away in the war?
Oh, I knew lots of people.
From your hometown?
Yeah.
Do you recall the day your service ended?
Oh, active duty, yeah. A ship landed in Oakland with a troop carrier that we were on. And it was late in the afternoon, but we all rushed to the barracks and the little shopping area it was, and we were all after milk and ice cream. Those were the two things that just felt you had to have.
Why was that? You
So
couldn't have them before?
those are the things that you didn't get when you were in the jungle someplace.
Where'd you go from Oakland?
To just an office processing area, which gave me my tickets, and I headed for the train station.
What did you do for a career after the war?
Went to college,
Where?
Cornell,
Cornell?
Yeah.
What'd you study?
mechanical engineering.
Did the GI Bill help you with that?
Yes,
You received some funding?
yes, $134 a month.
Was that a lot or a little?
That was all. Yeah, it was pretty much normal.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
Well, it's interesting, your thoughts change from time to time, but I remember barrack discussions when, the 20 of you who lived in this little house talked about what should be going on next now that we've ended the war and we're not needed doing this. The general reaction was Russia was still out there and Russia was a problem, and what we should do is, while we have the strength of the atom bomb, just go blow the devil out of them. And
Did you think you might be fighting the Russians while you were in service?
we thought our country would sooner or later be fighting with Russia. But, and we did, all that period of time in the Cold War. It's just that we did it more sanely than most people thought we might. And people were generally tired of war, so it was going to end. We just came very close to a world conflagration.
Thank God we didn't nuke them.
Hmm?
Thank God we didn't drop more nukes. More bombs.
Well, we thought we were going to turn around and use nuclear capabilities to make life a better place, make this a better world to live in, but I guess if we head into the wilderness, we lose our way.
How did your service and experiences affect your life?
Well, I think there's a certain period in time when you just black it out or you don't think about it.
Black out the terrible parts?
Yeah, I think there's the human mind is capable of lots of twists and turns which let it live in a rather corrupt world.
Do you want to keep adding to that?
You know, I think all of it's pretty obvious. I think most of the veterans coming home felt if there was going to be any more fighting, it ought to be done by the older people. That isn't the way you do it. It
No.
doesn't work.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything that sticks out?
Well, just perhaps that the real heroes are unknown. The real heroes are the ones who just did their job, and win or lose, they made their contribution. I look at what my brother went through, and he came back and went to school primarily to become an ordained minister and be, that was quite a switch. He rationalized that
Goes from a fighter to a pacifist.
his life had been saved many times by the guy upstairs. And
Did you keep in touch with him a lot?
he's dead now, but he lived to be 83. Oh.
Were you guys released at the same time when you both left the service?
No, he got out before I did, I think. Yeah, he got out before I did.
And you guys came back here to Guilford?
Well, actually, only on to New York,
Oh, yeah.
where we started from,
And then you went to Cornell.
and then went to Cornell.
What'd you do as a career?
Well, primarily engineering, sales, and marketing.
That's good. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think that covers it.
Well, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.